All right, good morning, good afternoon, everyone. We're just going to wait a few moments here, get everyone time to come in and log in for this webinar. So it'll just be a few minutes before we start.
So where are you based again, Amber? Like where?
Ottawa, Ontario.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, where are you again? I think you're on the East Coast.
East Coast, yep, I'm in Massachusetts.
Right.
So, yeah, about 20 minutes south of Boston. So.
Okay. Nice.
It's cold. Yeah, it's still pretty fall, but yeah, it's starting to get cold. But I mean, I don't want to talk to you about cold because you know it's cold. Well, I guess real cold.
It's been warm though here the last few days, unseasonably warm, not hot, but.
Yeah, no, here too. The last few weekends have been incredible.
Yeah, sunny.
Incredible. Sunny, like 60s.
Yeah, 60s, 70s here.
We're always like, it's the last one, so we like try to spend the whole weekend outdoors.
Exactly.
No.
All right, let's give another moment here. And Derek, do you want to put up the slide deck?
Let's do it. Let's see. All right. I'll just get right into present.
Perfect. Okay. So good morning again and good afternoon for everyone joining us here today. Thank you for joining us. And this webinar is an MSP's guide to understanding the switcher's buyer's journey. And before we start today's webinar, I just want to go over a few housekeeping items with you guys. So this webinar is being recorded, and we will share a copy of the recording after it's completed and we have it in our system there. So it's usually later today. And also feel free to chat with us, ask questions. You know, there's a Q&A box, there's a chat box, so feel free to use those as well. And we will have time at the end of this webinar to go over any questions anyone has. All right, so let me introduce you guys to Derek Marin. He is the founder of Simple Selling. And Simple Selling does manage warm pipeline generation services for small to medium-sized MSPs. They build and execute and manage a process that turns cold MSP prospects into warm, high converting opportunities for managed and co-managed service agreements. All right, so take it away, Derek.
Thank you, Amber. Hey, folks, good morning. Thank you guys for joining. I'm looking forward to making this presentation. You guys can, you know, add your questions and comments into the chat pane, as Amber was mentioning, that make it a little bit more conversational. Would appreciate that. So yeah, so today we're going to talk about the MSP switcher and the new buyer's journey, and some specific talking points for this morning. We'll be looking at the buyer's journey from 15, 20 years ago. Then we'll take a look a little bit at how customers or buyers are purchasing managed services and co-managed today. Look at the differences, of course, and try to understand why the journey has evolved, why it's changed, and the implications for lead generation, and kind of some ideas at the end of the presentation on what we can do to improve the lead generation process. All right. So I'm starting off with this, which is the way that we've been taught to grow our MSPs is perfectly suited for a world that no longer exists. So I'm gonna say that again, that we've been taught to grow our MSPs the way that we've been taught. It's not for the world that we're in today. And it's not MSP's fault. It's not marketers' fault. It's not sales. It's not the fault of people who are in sales for MSPs. We followed, you know, what many gurus have been putting out into the channel for a really long time. We've been following the best practices on content marketing, on many other tactics that are out there and talked about in not just the MSP space, but in the B2B and the B2C spaces. But it's not working, and that's because things have changed. So, and here's just some evidence of this. This is one of the recent surveys of MSPs. Very top MSP business challenges for this year. The number one thing across the world, acquiring more customers, right? It's even harder, or it's even bigger challenge than all the sophisticated security threats that you guys understand and lose sleep over and pull your hair out, trying to manage for your customers day in and day out. It's even harder than that. And hiring, right? The labor shortage and the people who are switching, or IT people who are going not just to competitors, but to other tech companies and all that. It's even harder than that. So this has been a problem, not just this year. It's always coming up near the top of the MSP surveys across many of the vendors who run similar surveys. And you guys know this. You experience it every day. So let's unpack a little bit about what has changed, right? The buyer's journey, right? So here's just an example of a company that's based in. I'm in Massachusetts, so I just randomly picked this construction company, Haycon, from LinkedIn. So this is a real company, but I do not know this company. I'm just using them as an example. So if any of you guys know Peter Hayden, that's the guy on the right with the polo shirt. Let him know that he made it to a Kaseya webinar today. But anyway, so this is a construction company based out of Boston. You can see that you can't really see, but here it's cut off. There are 26 employees that are on LinkedIn that we know of. And their team consists primarily of design-oriented individuals with a passion for thoughtful craftsmanship. Their portfolio ranges from high-end custom residences to commercial projects, right? So they're multifamily passive houses. So they're a booming business here in the Boston area. And if we take a look at some of the data that Navigator has to show us about this company, we can see over the last 2 years that their headcount has grown by 30%. Now they're only like 26 people, right? But this is a sweet spot size for a managed services provider. Right, a company that is showing headcount growth, a company that has a lot of technology, right, in various aspects of their operations, and so what do we know about a typical president, CEO of a company around this size? Let's just take a look at what someone like this is doing every single day, right? When he's at work. He might be using Slack to communicate with his team. He might be getting lots of emails, through Outlook, or maybe he uses Gmail, but probably mostly Outlook. When he's, in between, work, he's on his smartphone, has it in his hand like we all have it in our hands, and he's listening to, maybe at lunchtime he's listening to a podcast about how to grow his construction business, or maybe he's, checking LinkedIn. And posting on there some pictures of some of the work that his company has done. He's maybe getting some SMS with his wife about their kids, or communicating with family. He might even be occasionally checking Instagram or maybe YouTube to watch something related to sports. Maybe he's a Pats fan or a Celtics fan. Who knows? Because he's in the area. And then throughout the day, he's also in Zoom meetings. He's looking at Gusto for HR things and payroll things. Salesforce for sales and marketing is their main platform. Maybe Procore for construction and project management. So the point is, this guy is using lots of different apps. And the problem is to get that guy's attention, right? The decision maker and other C-level people like him at that construction company. This is the playbook that's no longer working for MSPs. It's the tech tips, the ebooks about why you need managed IT services versus an internal IT person. All of that really technical content that gets really deep into things like remote support and backup and disaster recovery and sort of generic sort of technology information. This stuff is not the kind of thing that Peter, that CEO, is necessarily spending his time reading, anymore, right? This is what used to work really well for MSPs from a marketing perspective, but now it's not resonating with today's president, with today's CFO, with today's C whatever, right? Because we're at a different point now. So reason number one that this stuff doesn't work as well as it used to is the ideal customer already has an MSP, right? Peter and his team, his 26-person firm, are already working with another managed services provider. And what I'm showing here is just taking a couple of steps back of an example of maybe how his company may have initiated with an MSP maybe 5, 10, 15 years ago, right? Maybe when he was a smaller company. And this is how many companies originally came into working with organizations like yours, right? There's the 3 stages in the buyer's journey: the awareness, consideration, and they make a decision, right? And in the awareness stage, this is how it was. Maybe the prospect was experiencing slower computers, maybe downtime, and they started to do research to clearly understand and frame and give name to the problem that they were actually having in their business. This may have been over months. They got to a consideration stage where they defined the problem and they considered potential solutions. They could either hire someone in-house, outsource it, or maybe just bring in a break and fix, a consultant to figure things out. They eventually decide that an MSP in fact really is the right solution. And they compile a list of local MSPs, and they start comparing services and pricing. And this was the buyer's journey from the past, right? But now, it's a little different. A lot of these companies that are at 25, 30, 40, 50 plus headcount, they're already working with someone in this webinar, or they're working with some other MSP that's not too far from where you guys have your headquarters, right? There's already another MSP. The other reason that MSP block, that we're having, that's struggling, that's this old tech tip approach is not working so well, is that these blogs, they're not talking about the problems that customers like Peter and Haycon, as a construction firm, actually care about as much. So what I mean by that is, so here are some of the problems, hypothetical problems that maybe Patrick and the Haycon team might be experiencing. They might be having sales problems, revenue problems right now. I mean, who doesn't have revenue, some, concern around revenue, but sales problems, HR, budgeting, right? But I bet when you guys run your QBRs, right, or when an MSP runs a QBR with someone like Patrick, they may find that the sales problem, once you dig into a little bit deeper, understand their process around sales, there may be a technology aspect to it. There may be a person aspect to it. There may be an external trend that's affecting their sales problems, but it may be a combination of different things. It's a little bit complicated, but the only way we would find out would be by having that strategic business review that you guys have with customers, right? Maybe this is a snapshot of a pipeline in HubSpot. Maybe they use Salesforce. Maybe their sales team is just not adapting the CRM very well, or maybe there's just not automation built in to some of the aspects of their outbound prospecting within their Salesforce level. So there may be a technology component to that problem that Patrick cares about. For HR, maybe there's turnover. There's people leaving. They're going to other construction firms. But maybe what's happening is they're not actually, maybe there's some of these employees, they signed up for lots of other construction applications, or maybe other software applications, and it's more in shadow IT stuff that you guys are concerned about for security. So Patrick may only think that he has an HR problem of hiring and losing people, but when you talk to him during a QBR, you find out that there's also a security component to that HR problem. So a lot of times there are problems they're not even aware of that they have, that you guys make them aware of during your QBRs. Or budgeting problems, right? Maybe he doesn't just want to know, when his computers when he needs to buy new laptops. He also wants to know, bigger picture things. Are there opportunities to find the extra cloud applications that are in than shadow IT, and to bring 12 applications, that all do the same thing down to one. That's an opportunity to cut costs for him, but that would only be enabled if you're having those QBRs and illuminating that opportunity to save money. Anyway, the point is, these are the problems that Patrick and his team care about now. And a lot of blogs are not talking about this stuff. Okay, so back to the actual journey, right? The customer journey. I'm calling this the MSP switcher's journey because, unfortunately, there are situations where people like Patrick, they're not getting what they need from the incumbent MSP. So let's just take a look at that. They become aware that IT costs are spiraling. Maybe their team is getting less work, or maybe revenue is being hurt. Some of these examples that I brought up before. And they become aware, they bring it up to their MSP. The MSP might be following up a few days later, and maybe they have a meeting, but maybe most of that meeting, that agenda of that meeting with the MSP is technical. It's about tickets, support tickets, or it's about some other technical thing that Patrick could care, less about. And ultimately, IT might be getting taken care of, but the real problems that they care about are not getting addressed. And so, it's possible that they are actually feeling like technology is at the root of their sales problems, or HR, security issues, or maybe the other budgeting things that they need. They may feel like that they need better strategic advice from another MSP, right? So they end up switching, and so that's sort of where we're at today with lead gen and sort of the challenge around lead generation, is because we're in that scenario now, right? And the other thing too, the other reason why the tech tips, for lack of a better way to describe the old marketing playbook, tech tip marketing, the other reason it doesn't work very well, as effective now, is that basic IT support is pretty much table stakes now, right? The basic IT, you guys and even the MSPs who have less experience than you, the smaller MSPs who are a few years in to their business, they're doing pretty good at the IT support stuff. And so, and here's you guys know your own industry's evolution better than me. I've never had an MSP, but this is just a snapshot of TechTarget's MSP evolution timeline, just showing us. This is kind of hard to read, but this is just showing the maturation of MSP software, right? From 2005 to 2013, vendors pushed beyond servers to support workstations and mobile devices. MSP in 2010, 12 years ago, MSPs began to grapple with the impact of cloud computing. In 2000 to 2005, for a long time ago, cornerstone MSP software platforms such as remote RMM, PSAs, like that, so much has happened in your industry. And so that's enabled you guys to automate a bunch of stuff, for you guys to not have to travel to your customers on site as much as maybe you might have in the past. And so that's just made a lot of the IT support improve in that aspect, and kind of and that's a good thing. That's a good thing. Unfortunately, that has made lead generation much harder, right? Generating leads and closing deals. And this is just an example of one of our MSP partners who works with us. We generated appointments for them with many organizations, but they did not. These prospects did not close, quickly. You can see the days to close was very long, over a year in a few cases. And so that's just proof that we're in a switcher's situation, right? We're not talking to a company that's got 30 people that's like, oh, thanks so much, I didn't have an IT event. Like, that doesn't happen. They always have IT support already. They already think their IT is fine. And so the differentiation to them is unclear. It's so unclear that the best MSPs, the ones who have the structured QBRs and are doing those things the right way for their customers to find their real problems and to uncover it, it's harder for them to get noticed. And so that's why the marketing playbook has to evolve, right? Has to evolve so that we can shorten the days to close, and the real top MSPs can really shine. So, and here's just another example. This is an MSP, actually, a competitor of everyone here. It's just showing that, this is a white paper. My team loves it. We devour this because we're in the sales and marketing, the prospecting side. But why do MSPs, why do customers switch? Here's 6 specific reasons that they switch. 1, poor responsiveness and execution. 2, service offerings aren't tailored to your needs. 3, they lack the required depth and breadth of skills. 4, you don't trust your MSP to deliver and always do the right thing. 5, there's a lack of vision and strategy. And 6, you're not getting enough value from your investment. So, this is sort of the key, right? If we're going to flip the switch, crack the code, whatever you want to call it, on lead generation now, we have to start thinking, about why companies leave the incumbent, right? What are they not getting, and how are we going to show that we can deliver on that? So lead generation needs to evolve as much as the rest of as much as you guys have evolved, right? Your MSP has evolved, but marketing has to also go with it, and lead generation has to also evolve with your evolution, if you will. And so, poll question. I guess here, Amber, would be the moment to throw that question out to the group. I'm curious.
Yeah, I just sent it out there. So yeah, it's launched. So we should be seeing answers just coming in here. We'll give it another few seconds. I'll let you know the results. All right, so Derek, what we got for answers is that 11% said content marketing by a third party, 21% content marketing with help from in-house subject matter experts. Sorry, it was cut off there. The other 15% advertising. And the other big one was outbound prospecting for appointment setting was 30%. And then the remaining was split between referral programs and SEO content marketing.
So a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
Sounds like.
Yeah.
Great. So that's great. And some of you had mentioned the in-house one, right? We'll get to that. So we're getting into the solution here. And so the first step in my humble opinion here, from my experience in working with MSPs, is that we have to start thinking about your differentiation as a journey. So I think of it as like when you guys sit down with a brand new customer, you've just done a massive assessment on their environment, right? You're going to find a lot of problems, right? They're going to have a lot of reds in various aspects of their infrastructure security. Right. So differentiation for you is in the red, right? It's in the red right now. Maybe not you specifically, right? Some of you guys are more advanced on this and others, but in general, many MSPs are in the red. And so there is not, a single, you hire an appointment setter or a vendor to do appointment setting. That's not going to fix your differentiation. Okay. A pay-per-click advertising campaign does not differentiate you. Not even a beautiful 30-page ebook or a blog article, a video, or even a direct mail campaign, right? It's a journey. It's going to, just like it takes your customers a long time with your support, with the projects that you implement, right? To get them from red to yellow to green, your differentiation is also going to be a journey, right? So there is no like, tell me the template. No, I'm sorry, but it doesn't work that way so well anymore. And so we need that mindset shift because, that's the only way we're going to actually, come up with a plan, commit to a plan, and understand that the timeline is a little bit extended here, right? Because we got to change minds. We got to connect with prospects who are in a relationship or an agreement, and we're going to have to reel them in, right? So this mindset shift, I think, is important. And this, the solution, the one that is really going to help your MSP stand out is to do some of the hard stuff. It's, unfortunately, we're at a point where lead generation is harder. We can't just automate this thing completely. I think, Amber, what did you say the percentage was for third-party content marketing? Was that the big one?
I think yes, that was the big one. Yeah.
Yeah, of course. That sort of feels like along the lines of tech tip marketing, if you will. And that's, I think I've already, said a lot about it, went through why it's not working. So that's the stuff we want to start pushing aside and getting into insourcing. So what I mean by insourcing is talking to the subject matter experts, the VCIOs inside of your company, right? And what I mean by boardroom stories versus server room stories, like, we want the boardroom stuff. We want the stuff when you guys have your QBR, SBR, whatever you call it, those hard discussions, right? Even the uncomfortable ones. That's the highest value stuff that you do. That's the highest value stuff that needs to make it onto your marketing and your sales. That's the stuff that marketers and salespeople deserve to hear, deserve to understand, whether they're internal or whether they're external. We have to suck that information out of our MSP partners. We have to be integrated so that we understand the boardroom stories that are taking place in those meetings, so that we can then translate that into marketing content. We don't want to hear about technical stuff, because that's not what the prospects want to hear about, right? We want to hear about the things that matter to the prospects, right, who are with another MSP right now, right? So we need you guys to look inside to find the best stories to tell. And it's not easy. Not easy. I totally admit it drives me crazy sometimes, working with some MSPs, even some of our partners, but it has to be done. So the problem isn't that, so John Bonini, he's a director of marketing for a really fast-growing tech company in the Boston area. And he's a great person to follow on marketing specifically. And he said something that I think has really helped our team at Simple Selling and helped me shift the mindset internally, with us and also with our MSP partners, which is in how to think about insourcing as getting the subject matter experts. And he says the problem isn't that writers are bad or don't understand IT, which is how many of us, many MSPs may feel, how they may feel about when they outsource marketing content, or when they hire a marketer and the quality just isn't what you want it to be, right? The quality just isn't there. Either that outside writer just can't write, or doesn't understand my MSP, or doesn't understand what we do very well, and you're just not happy with it. Or the internal person who you hire you may feel the same way. But the problem isn't that, it could be that their writing is bad, but let's just say that it's not always that their writing is bad. It's that we're approaching it the wrong way. It should be more of a good marketer should act like journalists, not columnists. So a journalist goes in humble and goes in asking questions, and the journalist goes up to the superstar after the game, and interviews the superstars, right, to get the full story. And then the journalist tells the story, right? So that's sort of the shift that we have to try to make in order for insourcing to actually work, is to fix the process. It's not necessarily that the person that you hired internally is bad at marketing, or that the vendor is bad at marketing. So the process needs to be shifted. So, sorry about that. That just went way back there. I'm not sure why. We'll just pretend that didn't happen. Sorry about that. Here we go.
Got to love technology.
We're almost done here, folks. So here's a couple more suggestions for how to make insourcing for your marketing content work. So first thing is hire a content marketing manager. I'm sure, Amber, you're probably like nodding your head, because the work that people like you do is really important with the marketing, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, there is so much work that goes into producing content. And if you try to do it yourself, as the president, I don't know who's in this room. I imagine that there's MSP owners in here. There's probably some VPs of sales. There's, hopefully there's some marketers in here, because like I'm totally saying you guys are awesome, but yet someone needs to own the process, because there is a lot. And you can hire someone internal. You can get, we work, there's a lot of, someone needs to own that process in order to really make this work. Because if you say you're going to do it, you're not going to do it. You're not going to do it. You haven't done it. You're not going to do it. And if you try to do it, you're going to do a really good job for like a day or two or one campaign, and then you're going to drop it. And it needs to be consistent. So other thing is getting buy-in from your services team, right? Don't just send an email to everyone on your team saying, hey, we're all going to do insourcing now. And it's going to be great. An email is going to go, it's going to be read, it's going to be glanced over, it's going to go right to the trash. So we need to bring the whole team together. Leadership, MSP presidents, and leaders in sales need to get everyone's services to understand why the buyer, why we're in the new journey right now. There's an MSP switcher, right? We're not an MSP buyer. They understand what has happened, what has changed, how we're going to get the whole team involved, right, in contributing ideas and topics and content, and what is expected of them, right? And that can't be done over an email. You got to bring them, do a lunch, take them out somewhere. It's been a couple hours. I'm happy to help you guys put an agenda together for something, because we do this too when we're onboarding. Is we need to get buy-in from the team, and it's a process, right? It's not, you can't just flip a switch. It takes a little bit. They need to understand the why, the how, and the what, because if they don't, they're just gonna either not do it, or they'll do it a little bit at the beginning, and then they'll just be like, oh, I don't have time for that. And what does that mean when people don't have time for that? It's because they don't value that thing that they don't have time for. So the other thing is inviting marketers to QBRs, or give access to this QBR software and the notes, right? Because sometimes, you don't want to necessarily invite the marketer into that boardroom or when you're having the QBR. But if we have access to everything that's taken place, or the updates on the project, we can extract stories from there. We'll know who to ask on the team. Hey, tell me more about this, or tell me more about that. We can make a blog from that, or we can make a video from that, or we can make a podcast from that. So, QBRs are key. And not just doing them, but like integrating marketing and sales into that is going to be important for the process of generating stories. The other thing is learning how each employee communicates best. Not every person on your team communicates the same. Some people would hate being on camera, but they'd be really, really good at writing out an outline. Some people are really, really good at writing or working on an article. Others are just good at speaking off the top of their head, and they can be recorded, audio, with a quick Zoom. So each person has a different communication style. The marketer, the content marketing manager, or the vendor, whoever, needs to understand how each person wants to contribute, what their strengths are, so that, we're making the insourcing as frictionless as possible, or as seamless as possible, that people don't feel like, they're getting, doing something that they're going to feel super uncomfortable with. So, leveraging customer feedback tools like Smileback, because you don't just want insourcing where you're only getting, the perspective from your team, but you also want to get case studies. You want to be able to interview your customers, right? So you guys have lots of tools where you're on NPS and you get CSAT and the customer satisfaction. You guys have all kinds of different tools for that, gathering happy customer smiles from the work that you guys do, and from ticketing to bigger projects. So when you get a happy customer, like from a tool like Smileback, take advantage of that customer is happy, and see how that could be woven in to the marketing process somewhere, so you can get more case studies up on your website as well. And the other thing is, it's great to do a topic brainstorm with with the team using a content sandbox. So I have a template that we use. I can share it with anyone who's interested. It's just very simple, but it basically just has a place for upvoting, so you can score it, a topic. So people can, basically the way you do is you'd get everyone into a room, everyone would start sort of populating this column for the topics, potential topics Then you have different statuses for that: requested, it requires clarification, in production queue, published, on hold, not moving forward, right? So the content marketer can understand where things are at each topic, who's requested it, who's the subject matter expert at the MSP, why this topic. If the content marketing person has a clarifying question, they can ask that here. And on the left side for upvoting, so like everyone on the team can have access to all the different topics, and they can upvote and help prioritize what they believe is the topic that is the most, that the team sees as the most valuable and interesting for production. So if any of you are interested in getting this very simple template, if you go to the link that Amber's going to share, you can subscribe there, and I can if you guys subscribe today, I'll just make sure I reply back with this template. So I didn't have it all baked out like onto a landing page, but if anyone subscribes onto the MSP lead generation guide, which is I did it again, sorry. MSP lead generation guide for 2023, that's on my website. It's super long, but if you come to this page and just opt in there to get more tips, if you do that today or tomorrow, just say, hey, I'm from the webinar, and I'll reply back with the content sandbox template in case you want that. But that's all I got. That's all I have. Thank you guys very much for your time.
Well, thank you so much, Derek. As always great information that you shared with everyone here today. So I do see we have a couple of questions. Before we move on to that, we just have a short survey for everyone just to fill out. So just please take a moment to give us your feedback. So let me launch that here now. There we go. And as it says here as well, if you want to learn more, there's some next steps. You can always email Derek. So it's derek@simpleselling.co, I think. Yeah, sorry, part of my screen was cut off by the pictures or the cameras.
Yeah.
We also have, you can visit, it's simpleselling.co/MSP. You can see right there, lead generation guide for more information on what Derek was speaking about. And you can also subscribe to smartermsp.com for our latest cyber threat advisories and other content as well. So I'm just going to wait a few more moments here for the survey. Let's leave that up for another few moments. And in the meantime, let me just get to one of our questions here. So I had a question that was, how would you recommend the approach for social media marketing on IT?
Yeah, so social media, it's really important to be present, right? I mean, you're asking that. My advice would be to pick one channel, one social media network, preferably LinkedIn for you guys, to get good at, to focus on. Don't try to do them all at once, or if you do try to post content to multiple networks simultaneously, don't expect great results from from multiple. Try to crack the code on one. LinkedIn is a great one because it's a more professional B2B, for lack of a better term to describe it, than the Instagrams and the TikToks and things like that. And when you start the insourcing process, where you're interviewing subject matter experts and you're getting stories from your day-to-day work into your marketing, that makes your posts on LinkedIn better, because then you can tag people on your team on the post, and that gets them to get the little pop-up notification, and then they can like and comment. And so that LinkedIn algorithm that tends to show posts or drive more impressions of a post when more people are engaging with the post, it's a good flywheel there when you get content coming from inside, as opposed to a generic tech tip that people just scroll through and no one reads anymore.
Exactly. And it's definitely good to focus on one platform, and LinkedIn is, honestly, in my opinion, probably the best place to start as well. Another question here. Someone said, so even if you write the best content in the world, it still has to be found. Do you consider SEO in your strategy? Either that or you have to pay, such as like Twitter ads to drive traffic?
Great question. I'm not an SEO expert. And I know that there's so from my experience in our process, I can only speak to that. Our first step is to focus on generating that high quality list of prospects to go after. We have SDRs, for many would call them appointment setters, right? That are generating a list with the ideal client profile provided by the MSP, your target geography, industries that you want, ideal size, right? We use LinkedIn to generate that list. And then our SDRs hit the phones, email, doing a few, basically trying to get the appointment, but we're learning about the prospects during that outbound prospecting process. And then we're segmenting those into our CRM for the marketing, the drip marketing that happens with our in-source content. So that's the process that I understand better. We don't do the SEO, which is not part of our process today, but I know that it works. Like you can optimize your website or Google to rank higher. I just don't know how exactly that works and how quick that can turn around. I don't think it's not fast. I know for a fact that SEO is not as fast because there's just so many MSP websites already everywhere in every city. And so when you're trying to rank for MSP Houston, there's already a lot of MSPs websites are optimized to a certain degree for that. And so it's tougher.
So I have one more question here for you, Derek, before we're done there for today. So someone asked if you have a template for a structured QBR or an example questions.
I can get it, but that's not my specialty. I can definitely refer you guys to some of the other vendors that specialize in QBRs, Lifecycle Insights, Alex Farling and Marty, they're like the customer success people. QBR, they have templates, and I can get you a template. I'll find one from them. But that's definitely outside of my lane because we're doing the marketing and sales and stuff. We just love the QBR process because that enables us to do our job better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect. All right. So, I got one more question, Derek. Do you have time for another one more?
Oh, yeah. This is great.
Perfect. Just saw it come in there. How do you talk to people that already count with IT services?
How do you talk to people that?
They wrote, how do you talk to people that already count with IT services?
Oh, yeah. So are you talking about, I imagine you're talking about the outbound prospecting and kind of how is that where that question is?
Yeah, they just said yes. So that's it.
Yeah, that's a great question. So, the cold calls, they're short. You're lucky if you get 3 or 4 minutes with a decision maker. So we look at, some stats that are really important for us is connect rate. How many calls does it take to actually connect to a decision maker? Set rate, what percentage of them actually set to an appointment, and then realized, right, and converted to an opportunity, right? It's all these levels. You're asking, you probably know that. We try not to talk about IT support. We say, many, you probably have an MSP. You probably have someone who's helping with computer support. It's not what I'm calling about. And then we start asking questions with stories. And we have these 4 corners that we kind of use as a framework for our SDRs, for our cold call. But we are focused on asking those questions that their MSP should be asking them, or that they should be talking about in their QBRs. So are you getting help with managing shadow IT and the sprawl, and that outgrown expense on SaaS? how is your IT how is your MSP helping with that? We have a customer that we helped bring from 12 apps down to 2, and that cut their IT cost and reduced their security. The credentials could be so something along those lines. So we used the QBRs and what we learned from what our MSPs are doing, and we asked those those questions. And look, it doesn't mean that our appointment rate is through the roof. It's totally, we're getting somewhere between 4 to 6 appointments a month, which I think is industry, more or less industry average for people doing the outbound. But yeah, we're setting a stage where we're not talking about IT. We're trying not to mention MSP. We're not mentioning IT. We're doing our best to avoid those triggered because they're just going to hang up the phone. I mean, you're asking, you probably know. So yeah, we have IT. Thank you very much. Bye bye. We don't want that. So it's tough. It's hard. Yeah, it's. I don't know if that helps, but. Yeah.
Oh, one more question came in. This is great. Everyone's got some good questions there today. So last question, someone said, when it comes to social media, would you recommend keeping your content short and sweet or more professional voice?
You do. I like it short and sweet, but this is where there's no one size fits all. So switch it up, but do whatever feels more natural for you guys. But I tend, if I had to pick one, I'd do more the short person, because everyone is trying to post on social media and LinkedIn how perfect they are. We're just everyone wants to be an influencer on every network, and every MSP wants to be I have the best cybersecurity in the world. And so if there's any advice, I'd be try to share a little bit on the struggles, the challenges that opportunity, things that your MSP has overcome, things that you guys have found over the years of running your company, the ups and the downs. Don't all do everything the best or everything down, but just something a little bit more authentic about how things are going. And I think that will help you maybe get a little bit more engagement on posts, interaction.
Perfect. All right. That is great advice. And that is all the questions that we have here for this morning or this afternoon, depending where you are. So we're all set there. So thank you so much for everyone for attending our webinar here today and taking the time also to fill out the survey and the polling question, everything like that. And we will be sending out a copy of the recording shortly to everyone as well. So thank you so much again, Derek, for joining me this morning, and we will talk to you all soon.
All right. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.